Listen, by the end of this video, you're gonna have a much better understanding of how many sets and reps it takes to build muscle. I know this can be a really confusing topic for a lot of y'all when you get a lot of percentages thrown at you and numbers and reports, but I'm not gonna come from that angle. I'm gonna come from the angle of experience. I've been lifting weights since I was 13 years old, and I've been building my body for basically a decade now. So I think I know what I'm talking about. In this video, I'm going to give you something that's going to be really easy to digest and to put into practice to help you think for yourself to see what's best for you. In order to know how many reps and sets you need to build muscle, I spoke about this in the hypertrophy hierarchy. I'll leave a card to that video in the end. It comes down to two things, and that's volume and the amount of load and rep ranges. Those two parts of the hierarchy is what it comes down to understand how many reps and sets you need to build muscle. Load and rep ranges, and almost spelled ranges wrong. Now your load, all it is how much you load onto the bar or how much you put on the pin. But that's all it is. So if it's a heavy load, you've put on a lot of weight. If it's a light load, it's a lower weight. That's all you need to know about that. Now the rep ranges, they're going to vary depending on the load. And the rep ranges will vary depending on what kind of exercise you're doing. So if you're doing a compound exercise, you're most likely gonna lift a lot heavier because that's what compound exercises are generally for. This is a very easy thing to remember when it comes to where to have your rep ranges. I think I'll take the red that way and the blue to my right. That'll make it a lot easier for you. So generally when we talk about hypertrophy, there's the 6 to 20 rep range that people like to talk about where you get max effect. That's totally correct. Nothing against that. Now, if you want to split it up into these two different sides of rep ranges, this is what we're going to do here. On the lower end of the scale, it'll be from 6 to 12 reps. And on the upper end, we'll say 12 to 20 reps. Anything past 20, you're just having a fucking blast and you're wasting your time. Anything from 6 to 12 reps, that's usually where your compound lifts lie. And anything from 12 to 20 reps is usually where your isolation lifts are going to be. Let me give you an example of how to think of this, because I thought about this here the other day. There's nobody that wants to do 150 kilos of barbell squats for 20 reps. That doesn't make sense. At that point, you're just killing yourself and you hate life, and I don't know what's wrong with you. There's something wrong with you if you do that. Usually you'll be around that 6 to 12 rep range because you're lifting a heavier load, which requires a lower rep range to train that muscle. Now, if you're doing something like goblet squats that are light and doesn't require much load, you can definitely go up to the 12 to 20 range and do it as an isolation lift, so to speak. Or another isolation lift would be like a rear delt lat raise with dumbbells. You don't need a lot of load. I've been playing with these markers the whole video, but this right here is a good understanding to start off with when it comes to basically splitting up any of your muscle groups. If you want to train your quads and you're thinking about a compound lift, think here, 6 to 12 reps. Now, if you're gonna do your quads again, but it's an isolation lift like a leg extension, think here. I don't think most people do leg extensions, at least if they're trying to build muscle. They don't tend to stay down here. You can, of course, but they don't tend to stay down here doing 6 reps of leg extensions. Yes, it can cause hypertrophy, of course, but it's not efficient. It's not the smartest thing to do over time because you're basically just putting your knees under a lot of stress and a lot of load, which is something we don't want to do. I'm going to move on to volume because I want to keep this video short and precise. I want y'all to understand how to split up sets and reps for your muscle groups for them to grow. If you want me to go deeper with this and talk about different muscle groups, like the video and drop a comment. Next up, volume has a very easy definition, but I'm talking about this in the second half of the video because of the fact that when you understand volume, you understand why your sets and reps are a certain way and why you might have lesser sets on one muscle group than the other. And it all goes back and trickles down to compound lifts and isolation lifts, but we'll get into it. All volume is just a number of sets on a muscle group per week. Now I'm gonna use per week just to generalize it. You can also do it per month or two, but we're talking about weekly volume because everyone looks at how they train per week. It's going to vary from person to person because there's not one person on this earth that's just like the other one. Even if you're twins, there might be one twin that can handle a bit more volume than the other, and that's just how it is. With that being said, I want to show y'all something else, and it's going to really help you to understand how to break down your volume or the amount of sets that you're going to do in a week for a muscle group. This right here is basically the volume / muscle growth continuum graph, whatever you want to call it. I've been following this since I started training. Now, it's really simple to understand. On the x-axis, you've got volume. I should have put an arrow going that way. volume going that way, and on the y-axis, we've got muscle growth. Now, the more volume you do, it's gonna get to a point where you hit the sweet spot. That's where you wanna be. That's the perfect spot for you. That's where you get the most benefit from training a certain amount of sets. It's always gonna be tailored to you. Again, there's guidelines that'll tell you what to do, and I'll have something for that link in the description so that y'all can read through it and understand it at a deeper level if you want to. But once you have this sweet spot, man, that's where you wanna be at. If you go past it, you gotta slow down some, G. That's not all right. That's where we basically categorize everything as a junk volume. You're just doing extra sets. That's not gonna help you grow. It's just gonna hurt you because it's gonna make your recovery time longer by extending it because you're just putting more work on your muscles and they're not responding to the stimuli. And at that point, again, who wants to do that, man? Muscle building is easy. It's not rocket science at all. It's super easy to do. It's just, we have to use our brains and make things a bit more simple for ourselves. Now, on the other side of the sweet spot, to the left, or my left side, probably your right side, I have no clue. Here's where you want to pick up the pace. Here's where you're just lollygagging and having way too much fun. That's not okay. And that's something that you'll notice really quick because you won't see the results. You won't feel the soreness in your muscles. You feel it down here too, on the other side of the sweet spot. But at the same time, down here, it's just like you're just showing up to the gym, you're bored. You don't have to be there. On a scale of 1 to 10, where 10 is like a really hard workout, you're at a 3. That's not where you want to be. You want to be at a 5, 6, 7. You want to be pushing it a bit close to that slow down some area, right? That's where you want to be at when it comes to volume. Volume can differ. It can be high or it can be low. I say that because of how many compound exercises you're doing compared to how many isolation exercises you're doing. So if you're doing a lot of compound exercises on one muscle group compared to isolation exercises, the volume on that muscle group is probably going to be a bit lower than if you were to have it the other way around with a lot of isolation exercises and a low amount of compound exercises, because isolation exercises are easier to do and don't put as much load on the body, right? But we're at the end of the video now, and I know you have a much better understanding of how many sets and reps you need to build muscle. Now, if you want specific numbers on this, in the link below, I've created a little cheat sheet for you to guide you to show you how many sets and reps you need per muscle group. It's easy to read. It's probably gonna take you like 3 minutes to read it max in one go. It's in the link below, free to grab. I just want y'all to have it so that y'all can understand it a little bit better. And also sign up for my newsletter in the link below where I send y'all different tips. Again, quick 1-minute reads, doesn't cost you anything. It's all free. And I'll see y'all in the next one. How many minutes did I use on that?